Good morning, I'm Alexis Del Cid. We had hoped to bring you our live program today, but it needs to be rescheduled. So please enjoy one of our favorite past episodes in this Encore presentation.
I've said it once and I'll probably get it tattooed on me, man plans and God laughs.
Robert Frias' care team kept his failing heart working for months, waiting for this moment.
Just know I believe in every single one of you. And thank you for showing up for work today.
Team on three. 1, 2, 3. Team.
The gift of life from a young girl whose family knew this would be her final gift after she passed.
It's what my daughter would have wanted.
One of my biggest goals was to let you listen to your daughter's heart again.
Strong as a bull.
That's right, baby, yeah.
What a show we have for you this morning. Good morning, I'm Alexis Del Cid. Welcome back to All Things Heart. We are bringing you an incredible story this morning. Here in the studio, we have our heart transplant patient, Robert Frias. Thank you for being here. We're so glad you could make it. We also have his transplant surgeon, Dr. Tyler Zorn. Thank you for being here. And Robert's transplant nurse practitioner, Jan Caldwell. Jan, thank you. And joining us virtually, we have Robert's cardiologist, Dr. Herrick Shaw, who joins us. Thanks for making time. So we have the whole gang here this morning. And a note for our viewers, the program today does cover Robert's medical journey from start to finish. So you will see graphic medical video on the show today. And with that, let's take a look at this incredible moment from the surgery room. This is the video of Robert's surgical team placing Robert's new heart into his chest. You can see Dr. Zorn working there. This heart came from a 15-year-old girl in Texas. We'll get to her story in just a bit. But first, Robert, I want to start with you. How long ago was your transplant? How many months ago?
I believe it was about 14 months.
14
to be exact.
months ago.
Yeah, a little less than that. October 28th, 2024.
How are you feeling this morning, today?
Beautiful. I mean, to say great is an understatement, honestly. I mean, I forgot how normal felt, and I feel like that today.
You look incredible.
Thank you.
Your color looks fantastic.
Thank you.
How does he look compared to when you first saw him, Dr. Zorn?
He didn't look great when he first showed up, and it was a piece by piece working you back to where you are now.
Jan, what's it like to sit next to this guy now?
I've got to watch his journey and watch him recover, and he's done amazing. So I love it.
Robert, when we first met you, and I want to ask Dr. Shaw this, he had an LVAD machine that kept his heart pumping. How do you decide someone like Robert is a candidate for an LVAD?
Yeah, before I answer that question, I will say his hair has always looked impeccable whenever he was sick. That's the one thing that's been consistent is the hair quality. I try to model myself a little bit after whatever he's done with that with the hair. But I will say, yeah. So when he first came in, he was incredibly ill, and one of the variables when we think about when someone comes in that's very, very sick is, how do we get them to a durable platform where they can continue to live and, prosper? With heart transplants, it's a little bit hard because, you have to wait for the right match. And when Robert came in, he was so sick that we didn't have time. We had to do something immediate. And that's where the LVAD came in, because that's something that we can place at any time, any day. And so the LVAD was a heart pump that we placed into his chest. And that was allowed his heart, to assist his heart to provide normal blood flow, and that allowed his organs to recover and allowed him to stabilize before eventually needing a heart transplant. And so it was really based on how sick he was when he came in that kind of necessitated that we had to move towards a platform very, very quickly.
And how long did you have your LVAD before the moment we saw of your heart transplant?
7 months.
You brought a little souvenir with you. It's on our desk today. You brought the LVAD that Dr. Zorn removed from your heart after he took it out of your chest. First off, how common is it that a patient takes home his LVAD as a souvenir? How did that conversation happen?
I think Robert might be the only one. I may have been told not to do that again after Robert, but he got to keep his, and I'm happy for it.
How did the conversation go? Was it going into the surgery? You were like, by the way,
Pretty much, yeah.
After the
that was kind of it.
Before the cheer or after the cheer?
It was before the cheer, obviously, but honestly, I remember thinking, well, it's in me. Why can't I have it?
Yeah.
You know, why not? Sure. Yeah.
He brought it in a glass case as well. We took it out. You want to hold that up
Oh, yeah.
for us?
There it is.
How wild that was once what was attached to your heart.
Nope. There we go. Which
Keeping
way am
it-
I doing it?
You're
There
doing
we go,
it
like
great.
that. There
Sideways,
we go.
that's perfect.
That's it. Yep.
And do you keep that on your mantle like an Emmy or what?
Yes, I do. Actually,
Okay.
it's funny because I use it as a motivator when I don't want to go work out. I look at that and going, okay, let's go work out today. Let's go do something. Let's get active. So,
Speaking of working out, you were also working out when we first met you and got to know you to prepare for the moment where you got your new heart. Robert, you were working out in cardiac rehab, really going pretty strong for having an LVAD. What kinds of workouts did you do in addition to the cycle machine?
play golf. Actually,
Play golf,
You know,
right.
I went out. Of course, my brother and I would go play a quick little 9-hole course over here, and you know, just the ability to go walk, and then going back to work, knowing that where I had to park at certain places, knew I had a trek to get to where I was going, and it really was just no big deal.
You just
anymore.
kept going.
Just kept going, yeah. Just kept working out. I still work out to this day, and I kind of stay as steady as possible. And like I said, just being active again is just amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
And staying active was something, Dr. Shaw, that you tell your patients leading up to possible transplant. Why was it so important for Robert as a patient to keep up with the cardiac rehab until he got that call that he would get a new heart?
Yeah, I think when we think about, the outcomes after surgery, I think one of the big things is how healthy is the body. And I think that's one of the big advantages of the strategy of using the LVAD to a heart transplant, because he was incredibly sick. We were able to put the LVAD in, and he clearly was able to do well with the LVAD. He was able to exercise in cardiac rehab and play golf. And so basically his whole body was able to get normalized blood flow. His whole body was able to recover. And as you exercise, you get stronger and stronger. And so when you actually go into surgery, you're basically walking into the OR getting a heart transplant. And it makes the post-operative course that much better because the whole body has been ready for that moment. And I think all that effort that he did prior to the heart transplant led to his outcome after the heart transplant. And probably one of the big reasons why he looks as good as he does today is all the work that he put in leading up to that moment.
So the hair is good genes from his dad, but the good shape is all Robert. Being in good shape.
I think his dad does the hair stuff, I think.
Yeah, Dad does hair stuff. I will remind him and Dr. Zorn, I remember them coming into my room before the LVAD and even after clinic. I remember these words, I remind myself every day, healthy in, healthy out, Robert. He goes, healthy in, healthy out. And I kept thinking to myself, those words haunt me to this day. I'm like, oh, if I don't want to work out, I'm looking at them, okay, healthy in, healthy out, let's go. This is what we're doing it for, so.
And we had no idea, neither did you, just a couple weeks after we first interviewed you, that you'd be getting that call. I remember you called me and said, guess what? I'm getting a new heart. And I said, when? And you said, tonight. And so that's when we scrambled and got Alex in the OR, a photojournalist. But let's take a look at that moment.
Lay down in bed, and then all of a sudden, the phone rings.
From his hospital bed at the University of Kansas Health System,
I'm like, no.
Robert Frias is still processing the call he got at 1 a.m. from his transplant coordinator.
So I answer, I'm like, this is Robert, and it was Clinton, and he asked me very politely, are you still ready to do this? I'm like, I absolutely am.
Sounds like a beat in a nightclub.
Yeah.
After living with his mechanical LVAD pump for 5 months, his coordinator Clinton told Robert that his new heart was on the way.
I remember I sat on the edge of my bed before I left. I was sitting there and going, this is really happening.
Nobody expected he'd get the transplant call so soon.
It's a little surreal right now, but it's part of it, it's part of the journey.
A journey he just updated with a social media post to his loved ones.
I can't put into words right now how much all of you mean to me. But I just need to tell you that I love you all. And that see you in a couple days.
Bye, buddy. I love you, man. Love you guys. I'll be right back.
Right before he goes under for the surgery, Robert, always the picture of positivity,
All right, bring it in.
has something to say to the team about to give him his new heart.
Just know I believe in every single one of you. And thank you for showing up for work today.
Team on 3. 1, 2, 3.
That gives me goosebumps. Jan, are you tearing up?
Always.
What about that moment makes you cry?
Just knowing what a special guy he is and everything he's been through, you know, and to be so grateful for his gift, of course.
Robert said that you really kept him positive during his most down times. You're a talented RN, you do so many things medically. Can you talk a little bit about the emotional component of how you keep spirits up and how you connect with your patients?
Well, everybody's journey is different. And so with Robert, you know, he came into it so positive and just ready to attack the world. So all we had to do was just help guide him. I didn't have to really ask him to do a lot of stuff he wasn't already doing. So he made it very easy to be so motivated. But you do have a lot of emotional up and down. This is a lot to take on. So we worked through some of those issues, and he's doing awesome. So.
Dr. Zorn, how many patients have you had say, bring it in for a cheer?
Again, Robert may be the only one that has called the cheer, but yeah, no, it's a testament, you know, when all these, we talk about these first and how, just how special Robert is. It's just, it's been cool to see all these different steps that he's taken to get to where he is.
I tell you what's cool to see, just as an outsider, is when Robert and his dad, he brought his dad here this morning, who's amazing, and he does have great hair. When Robert walked in and he sees Jan, and Jan sees his dad, and Dr. Zorn sees Robert, I mean, it was just like a hug fest, like a family reunion or old friends meeting up somewhere, and that just felt so good to see that bond. That bond you developed. What's the first thing that you remember waking up from your transplant surgery?
I remember an internal medicine doctor coming in, and he literally looked at me. He goes, "I know what you're going to ask me," and I'm like, "What's that?" He goes, "Am I alive?" And I go, and I'll tell him, I go, "Well, am I?" And he kind of goes, "Yes, you are." I go, "Did I really?" He goes, "Yes." He goes, "You asked us about 10 times while you were out."
You did?
Yeah, I remember. Am I alive? Am I alive? And I kept thinking, I go, "Well, thanks for answering." That was the first really memory I had out of that, because he came in and I looked at him like, "You're not Dr. Zorn or Shaw, who are you?" And he's like, "Hi, I'm with internal medicine." He kind of checked some things. He goes, "I know what you're going to ask me." And I go, "What's that?"
Gosh.
I'm alive, so.
Was he babbling that to you? Were you there as he was waking up asking that?
Several nurses reminded me that day, so yeah.
That's wild. Dr. Shaw, one thing that's very interesting and tricky about transplants is that you say Robert had to be sick enough to qualify for a heart transplant, yet healthy enough to get one, which is a bit of a balance. What does that look like in a patient where you're sick enough to need one, healthy enough though to get one?
Yeah, it's a tough question. It sounds like paradoxical when you think about it. But what the essence of it is that, you know, the patients who do the best have what we say a single organ problem, and in our case, a heart problem. And what can happen is that the body's interconnected. And so when one organ fails, unfortunately, over time, other organs can continue to fail. And so we have to find that time where the heart is sick, where we know that a heart transplant or a heart pump would provide a better quality of life and a longer length of life, but not wait too long where the other organs have now started to deteriorate because of bad pump flow. When I mean by other organs, I mean how the kidneys are doing, how the liver is doing, how the muscles are doing. You know, people lose a lot of weight when they have a chronic illness like congestive heart failure. And so it's finding that time where we want to meet the patients when their heart is very sick, but before everything else has kind of gone off the rails. Because once things go off the rails, there is a point where there's irreversible damage to the other organs. And even if you replace the heart, the other damage has already been done. And so it's all about finding that timing where you're still able to salvage the entire body. And so that's what we mean by sick enough, but healthy enough to require a heart transplant.
Did his diligence with continuing to work out in between that time have a lot to do with, I would imagine?
Yeah, well, 100%. I mean, he was able to keep his muscles active. Anytime someone's active with this, it just makes things so much better. It's you know, we preach about exercise and diet and all that stuff, but it's truly amazing how much just rehab, exercise, walking every day, even when you have a chronic illness, means so much to your prognosis and so much to your long-term longevity.
We have some side-by-side images we'd love to share with our viewers. Again, these are medical images. On the left is Robert's old heart. On the right is the new heart going into his chest. I remember seeing video of the new heart and the old heart. The new heart just looked so much healthier, even from a non-medical view. Dr. Zorn, what did you notice right away when you see the new heart compared to the old Robert's old clunker?
Well, I mean, this is pretty standard, you know, as you know, these hearts that get to the end of their line, they get dilated, you know, take up a huge cavity inside the chest. The way they squeeze is very minimal, and so they just take this, you know, take on this real sick look to it, and so that's kind of what we hopefully pull out, and hopefully what we put back in is a lot better organ that's going to last for a long time. So,
Robert, what's it like to look at video of you getting your heart transplant, seeing your heart removed and the new one put in?
It's pretty amazing. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of an understatement again, but you know, to see the old heart, you know, it's. Obviously, you can see the limitations I had. And when I looked at that and I saw it, I was like, God, there was the guy that struggled to walk upstairs. There's the person that was in pain every day because his legs were so swollen. That symbolizes everything I couldn't do. And, you know, when I see it and I look at it, I thought, you know, that's what was holding me back from life, from living a quality life. And I don't miss that at all.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And you're doing your new heart honor by the way you are living. And we're going to dive way more deeply into that. We do have some questions coming in and some comments from our viewers. If you have a question or anything, a comment you'd like us to read out loud on the program, you can send it to us on YouTube, Facebook, or the All Things Heart email. The ways you can connect with us in real time are right there on your screen. We do want to move into the next part of Robert's journey, which is so emotional if you didn't already think this part was, because it involves a second person and her family. We're talking about Robert's donor, Kaylin Hartman, this sweet girl. Kaylin was only 15 when she passed. She lived in Texas with her family. Her death was sudden and unexpected. Her parents say she had an allergic reaction to some medication she took. Then they had to make this unbelievable decision no parent ever wants to make, what to do with their daughter's organs. And they had to make that decision quickly. Her parents say they knew without a doubt Kaylin would have absolutely wanted to donate her heart. Her mom, Crystal, wrote us a beautiful letter about Kaylin. In it, she says Kaylin was not only an excellent student, but had an incredibly sharp sense of humor and a passion for life that was unparalleled. And Kaylin's mom says, Robert, she couldn't have dreamed of a better match than you. She says your hearts were matched.
Yeah, I'll take those Kleenex now.
We bought Kleenex.
There we go. You know, having the honor of meeting both of them, William and Kaylin, and actually Kaylin, I flew down to Texas
to meet Kaylin's mom.
To meet Kaylin's mom and to visit her grave, to meet the donor's grave site, and it was incredibly emotional. But they are such a wonderful family. I mean, it was like visiting relatives from out of town. They were just so welcoming and so nice, and you know, the words they talked to me, the questions they asked me were just so. It wasn't just, hey, how's it going? It's like, how are you feeling, with, you know, with legitimate passion, and you know, to having met them and you kind of, like I promised them, let them listen to their daughter's heart again. You know, that was really my goal to begin with, but I ended up getting an extended family out of it. You know, I told them all, I said, listen, if you're ever having a bad day, know that there's a guy in Kansas City right now thinking about you all the time. So with that in mind, thank you for saving my life.
How often do you communicate with them?
Crystal and I text back and forth. William and I will text every once in a while. How you doing? Sweet. I've got some things. I'll send them some things. They send me things. It's just kind of nice.
As Robert was saying, he visited the family in Texas, and then Kaylin's dad came to meet you, Robert, in Kansas City, and we saw that moment of the emotional meeting, and her dad had some things to say as well.
I really appreciated you reaching out when you did. It was really great to hear from you, because when you go through this process, you don't know. You know they have a match, they have this and that, but you don't know if it's successful. You don't know if they made it in time to, you know, if they could use, you know. And the fact of knowing right? That especially when it came to my daughter's heart, which was, you know, that it was successful, and what you wrote me really was a gift. And so I really thank you that that you took the time to do that, right?
Strong as a bull.
That's right, baby. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it just makes. Jan, how are you holding up?
I'm good. I'm good.
I remember something you said that really stuck out. You said that when they first talked to you, they said Kaylin was only 15, but her heart had so much more to give, and they asked you to please ride out, give her heart the life it deserved, and take it to the finish line.
Yeah, and that was my promise to them as well as to her. You know, it's, you know, when I visited them, I said, listen, you know, thank you for giving me my life back. You know, I mean, and that's what I intend to do is, you know, it's weird when people ask me, how you doing today? And I always say, you have no idea. I'm wonderful. And they always look at me and go, yeah. I go, you have no idea. And they really don't. And I honestly feel like that's a testament to their decision and to Kaylin that I'm able to do and live a great life now.
Talk about perspective. Gosh, Dr. Zorn, I've known you for a while now, met lots of patients that you've saved their lives. How unique is this situation where Robert, this person who you do out transplant with, develops this bond with the family? You get to see this video in a career like yours.
I mean, it's something we do often, but it's rare that you get to see the whole journey like this, especially as we recap it and you get to see the perspective from the other family, the donor family. That's so precious and so necessary to do all that we do and help people like Robert. And then to see, you know, I often don't get to see the life on the other side of transplant as much as Jan and Dr. Shaw. But just to see how well he's doing, the appreciation for the organ, the gift that he's gotten, and what he takes and how he lives his every day with much thought about that donor family, about Kaylin, and all that it means to him. There's not much like it.
Right, Dr. Shaw, when you look at that video and you see your patient allowing this girl's dad to listen to his daughter's heart beating inside your patient, that must make you feel some kind of way.
Yeah, it obviously this heart transplant is a very emotional field. There are gifts given, and all we can ask is for people to be the best stewards of those gifts and know the magnitude of what they are accepting and what their obligation is to themselves and to the donor family. And I think Robert has exemplified that in the most excellent way that I can imagine. And so I thank him for, you know, carrying on the legacy of the donor, and I just hope that every patient can have his type of mindset. And I think it's truly an honor to have him as a patient because of that.
And if you're watching and wondering if you should be an organ donor, look at this example of a good steward who takes it and runs with it. We have questions already coming in, so I want to get to some of those from our viewers. Jeremy Yenser, one of our viewers, wants to know, are there differences between how the new heart works versus the old heart as heart rate, etc.? And Jeremy writes, joke's on you, I was actually hoping to cry this morning. So who wants to take that question about the differences between how the new heart works versus his old heart?
I mean, it responds in similar ways as far as, you know, circulating kind of molecules that can stimulate the heart to beat a little bit stronger, but what it does lose is the nervous supply that the normal heart generally gets. So usually it is at it runs at a lot more standard rate. It doesn't fluctuate as much as, you know, a non-transplanted heart will be, but that's about it.
How long did it take you to feel like, oh wow, this is living after your surgery?
Day 4, when they got up and they told me, let's walk the hall. And I remember when I was first admitted, the previous March, I was like, they would tell me, you got to walk 3 laps. I'm like, really? And when they got me up and they started getting me to walk, I was like, who needs a walker? Let's go.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, let's go. And it was a Saturday. I was on the back on the 4th floor, I think I was, and I went for a walk, and I was just like, I'm
4
back.
days.
I just took off from there, and I started cardiac rehab that following week.
Wow.
And I was just like, a few weeks later, I'm sorry, and it just, every day has opened up a new past that I didn't have for a long time. I mean, it's just like, oh wow, I walked all the way from the parking lot into Target, and I'm not out of breath. This is great,
incredible.
It's wonderful.
And only 4 days after your surgery, you started to feel that difference.
I believe so, yeah.
Becca has a question. Becca wants to know, this is a good one, how is the donor heart stored before it arrives at the health system?
Yeah, there are different ways to store it. One's on ice, one's, suspended in donor preservations. There's other methods that we can actually.
Suspended in
so just like a container, and you saw it on the video where the heart kind of hangs from the lid of the container, stored in this fluid, and then it just transported cold. There's even newer ways, where we can put the heart in a container where it can continuously get blood supply and beat the entire time on transport.
What did you do how did you decide what to do with Kaylin's heart?
We do ours all pretty similar, where we store it in a fluid and just keep it cold.
I remember seeing that image of, it looked like an octopus or something. It was, I mean, in very, very lay terms, but it was in this like jar of fluid kind of floating, or like a jellyfish or something. It was really fascinating. John wants to know, how long can donor hearts be in transport before they have to be placed?
We usually try to get the donor heart from the time it stops beating in the donor to the time we resupply it with blood in the recipient to be about 4 hours. It can probably be around 4 to 6 hours, but I think what we've seen on our end, the closer we can get to 4 hours or less, the better these hearts do.
Janet wants to know if Robert's care team got to meet the donor family as well. Have you spoken with them or gotten to meet them?
No, and we usually don't. That's a special interaction that that the donor and recipient family has, but I have not met a donor family to date. So.
Dr. Shaw, have you ever had patients ask you in follow-up visits if they can meet the donor family? How does that process happen?
Yeah, it happens. It happens often, and because again, there's a lot there's a lot going on when it comes to the idea of donating your organs and having someone receive those organs. And so in the very beginning, there's actually standards placed by our transplant societies, and that's coordinated by our organ procurement organization, our OPO. And so what they do is after a year, what the recipients are able to do is send a letter to the donor. They don't know who the donor's family is. They send that letter through the OPO, and then OPO then sends it to the donor family.
Got it.
And then it's up to the donor family to then reach out to the recipient. And if that donor family decides to reach out to the recipient, then they can meet, and then they can give exchange information and all of that. But it has to go through so there are situations where the recipient can write a letter, but who knows the circumstances of how that donor passed. And so sometimes the recipients may get a letter back, they may not get a letter back, but it requires the donor family to say, yes, we're ready to meet the recipient for any interaction to happen at all.
Ready to get that letter. Johnny has a question. Johnny wants to know, what are the most common fears or misconceptions that you've talked patients through when they've learned they need new hearts? That's a lot, but you're so sweet and kind in addition to talented.
I think we just spend a lot of time trying to give that education to patients so that they understand that their heart is failing. They can't walk across the street, they can't walk down the hall, and you get used to living with those symptoms. And so sometimes a lot of patients don't realize how sick they really are, but we can recognize it, and their families usually can too. So you very much have to spend some time preparing patients mentally to go from, I'm gonna get rid of my old heart and I'm gonna accept someone else's. It's a lot to wrap your mind around. So we have lots of conversations about this.
As we approach the end of our half-hour conversation, which I would love to hang out with you and your dad. we got to get your dad on the show next time.
Right.
Jan, I want to start with you. What do you want our viewers to take away from this show the most?
You know, I think Robert here is just a perfect example of someone who has been, as Dr. Shaw says, a great steward of his gift. You know, he's done everything we've asked. He's been super proactive, and he's thriving, right? And this is why we do what we do. We struggle when patients, you know, sometimes aren't the best stewards of their gift, and that's very hard to see and manage. So we're always just so refreshed when someone like Robert comes through, and he's just been an amazing journey. So.
Dr. Shaw, what do you want to say to Robert or the donor's family if they're watching, or the viewers?
Yeah, to the donor's family, it's just incredible. Thank you for allowing a tragic moment to lead to some silver lining, where they were able to save many lives with their organs, and obviously including Robert's. And to Robert, again, thank you for being such an exemplary patient. You make the job easy, and you make the job fun, and you make the job. Situations like this are exactly why all of us went into the field. And I think the secret sauce of our program really is kind of that interaction that you kind of mentioned in the beginning, Alexis, is we're family. You know, the team members really care about each other. We care about our patients. We care about them so much. And we interact really, really well together. And so that's been one of the best parts about working at this facility, is that just the teamwork and the level of care that we give to each other and to our patients. And when it gets reciprocated back on the patient side, we're going to do really, really well with those cases.
Dr. Zorn, talk about coming full circle from your operating table to the anchor desk.
Yeah.
Here you are.
Doesn't get better than that.
Right.
I think my final takeaways is it's the appreciation for everyday life that Robert has, and the stuff that we all take for granted, and it's just it's a model that we can use to attack our daily lives too.
Every day.
Every day.
Robert, you have a pin that you're wearing, and I would love for our crew in the back to zoom in on this pin, if you can hold it right there. It's a pin you wear to honor Kaylin. You are the reason that her heart is still beating.
Yes, but I'll give credit where credit's due. If it wasn't to have the wherewithal to make that decision on behalf of their daughter, I give all full credit to William and Crystal. Because without them, again, I'll say I wouldn't be here right now with you. They saved my life, and I'm eternally grateful to those two people and their entire family.
Goosebumps.
So I really very quickly want to tell everybody, thank you, both of you. And thank you, Dr. Shaw. Good to see you. And when you spoke about family and you talk about that, this has been my extended family. As much as I've seen them in the last year, and you get to know them, and then really quickly going back to Jan's point, mentally, spiritually, and physically ready for this is really where I had to be. And mentally, Dr. Nishimura, wherever you are right now, thank you. She was the transplant psychologist I spoke to that got my head in the right place, and many a times, and it'll obviously stay between her and I, but there were moments, but Jan referred me to her, and that pretty much got my mind right. So again, mentally, spiritually, physically, I took care of the physical part. Spiritually, I knew I had trust, thanks to my dad. He told me everything, trusting God and let everything will work out.
Dad, I know this is, our crew in the back is going to probably kill me for this, but can Dad come in here just real quick? Dad, come in. I just want to get a shot of him, because you have to see how sweet this guy is. And then I want Dr. Shaw to see what great hair Robert's dad has. What's your dad's first name?
Bob.
Bob. He's got the sweep back.
That's right.
Bob, come on, just give your son a hug there. I just want to see.
Come on in here.
Your dad.
I'll tell you, I said this before, and I'll say this again. Success comes from who you emulate the most, and I will tell you this much: I emulate him 100%. This is my Sherpa, if you will, my Sherpa up the journey of life. So
beautiful.
I want to thank all of you. What you've done for my son it's a blessing, and I really appreciate it. Doctors, thank you also.
Pleasure's ours.
So nice.
Thank you.
We're going to need to pass the tissues around. Thank you. Thank you all for taking time to be here. It's such a delight to be able to share this story with our viewers. And thank you for joining the conversation today. If you would like to watch or share any one of our previous episodes, or you'd like to watch this one again and share this with your friends and family, just scan the QR code on the screen right now. That will take you to a list of all of our previous episodes and this one as well.